My name's Monica Bjork-Hone. I'm also friends of the CAM together with Tony, and I'm asking the question, is all this building, is this the death of our rivers? So I first realised we had a problem with water a couple of summers ago, September 2019. I noticed that the trees were looking like this, branches that had lost all their leaves, branches that looked dead. It looked like autumn, except this isn't autumn. There was a very mixed picture. This is not autumn colour. This is drought. And when you look closely at the leaves, this is a lime. You can see browning around the edges. All sorts of trees. All trees were looking like this. And this was the grantor in 2019, bone dry. And following year, very similar picture. This is a conifer. And this year, the damage was permanent. The damage that happened to the trees, many of them have never recovered. And in fact, it's probably the start of a slow death. Trees don't die overnight. They take about 5 years to die. And the picture across the whole of the southeast, these are pictures of chalk streams, which are now nothing more than ditches. Why is this happening? Basically, it's over-abstraction. There are so many of us. There are so many houses. We are installing so many taps and toilets and washing machines that we are taking so much water out of the ground. And the environment, there isn't enough left in the environment for our rivers and for our ponds. I looked at an application for development in North Stowe for 4,000 houses. It's the second part of a development, and I was surprised that there had been absolutely no comment from any of the consultees on availability of water supply. And I questioned this with the Environment Agency, and I received this letter back from the Environment Agency last year. And basically, the key points there are, what they said was that current levels of abstraction are causing environmental damage. Current levels, okay? This isn't in the future. This is now already. And they said that if we increase our use at all, this isn't without increasing the license volume. The licensed volumes that the water companies have are massively overgenerous. But if we use any more than we are using now, we're just going to put more pressure. We will increase pressure on a system that is already failing environmental targets. And they also said that many water bodies, and this would include ponds, rivers, but also the aquifer. The aquifer is the large structure, geological structure under the ground where the water gathers, and it's like a huge underwater reservoir. This also needs to be maintained, and it needs to have flow in order to support the ecology. In fact, this is what the trees rely on when there is a drought, because there's no rain for 3 months, yet a big tree will need 2,000 litres of water every single day. And that comes from the aquifer under the ground. If that drops too low, if it drops out of the reach of the trees start to dry up. And this is clearly what happened in 2019, which is the first time that I noticed this. On top of that, we have pollution problems. So we get pollution from farming, from road runoff, and untreated sewage, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And last year, 2020, in the Cam Valley, we saw 621 hours of untreated water entering the River Cam. Okay, so this is water from toilets, from washing machines that was unable to be treated before it entered the river. So this is a little picture of our river today. The flow is on average reduced by about 50%. The river's lost half of its water on average. And what's left, about 40% of that, is treated water. And this treated water is much warmer than it should be, because when you have a chalk stream and the water comes from the aquifer, from a spring, it's about 10 degrees centigrade. but what we're putting in is much warmer than that. And that, combined with climate change, warmer weather, is obviously causing the water in the river to be warmer, and combined with all the pollutants, it's having a huge impact on the ecology. So I've said that it contains a huge number of pollutants, fertilizers from farms, heavy metals, medications, antibiotics that come through untreated toilet water and that actually can't be filtered out at all. Many microplastics, which are actually clothing fibers from all the mixed fabrics that we have, and insecticides, all entering our river, where already the flow is reduced. So the pollution is much more concentrated. What we have to bear in mind that when you hear people talking about biodiversity and natural capital and doubling nature, you can't double nature if you're taking away nature's taps. And our ponds and our rivers and the aquifer are the taps that nature needs. Everything, you know, whether it's birds, they need to drink. Yet the rivers and their sources of water are being taken away. Insects, all our most iconic mammals, they all come to drink. And yet this is being taken away from them through over-abstraction, and what's left is being increasingly polluted. This is what they're getting. Dry ponds, dirty rivers where nothing can survive. Here recently, blue-green algae at Milton Country Park poisoning the water, no life to be seen there, and sewage fungus. So what happens next? What are the plans? What are they doing about it? Well, it seems at the moment we've got 36,000 homes already underway and earmarked, no new water. And the next local plan wants to introduce another 49,000 houses, still no new water. And the Stantec report, which is a report commissioned by Cambridge City Council, concludes that basically, if growth rates are increased before the mid-30s and before we have any new water infrastructure, there is a risk that development in the minimum and medium scenarios could cause further detrimental impact on the water environment. Well, I think honestly that goes without a doubt, because we've already seen massive deterioration. You know, if anybody sort of, you just walking along, just pay attention to the trees, just look at what the trees look like, and you will see that the picture is very grim. So is this what we are creating? Thank you.